The world is facing a crisis, and it's one that we can no longer ignore. Pakistan is dying, and the consequences will be felt by us all. Bounded by the Air Creek on the southeast, the Arabian Sea on the south, and the Gulf of Oman on the southwest, it shares land borders with India to the east, Afghanistan to the west, Iran to the southwest, and China to the northeast. Pakistan has the world's sixth largest standing armed forces, a nuclear weapon state ranked among the emerging and growth-leading economies in the world, but in today's economy, the reverse has been the case. Pakistan is facing a multidimensional crisis. Its consumption-driven economy, which is import-oriented, has run out of foreign exchange, which has led to food and energy shortages. For a nuclear weapon state like Pakistan, surrounded by 4 countries, border disputes are a challenge that could draw nations in to try to claim territory. And a more challenging issue is the threatening terror attack. If these terrorist groups succeed in taking over Pakistan and its nuclear weapons, what will it mean for Pakistan as we know it, and the world at large? We hope to never find out. Having the 5th biggest outstanding debt with the IMF, International Monetary Fund, standing at $5,660,125,002, and with the citizens perceiving a coup d'etat in view, Pakistan will need to make better policies to get out of this crisis. The Islamic Republic of Pakistan is located in South Asia, covering 881,913 square kilometers, which makes it the 33rd largest nation by total area and the 5th most populous country, with a population of over 241.5 million and having the largest Muslim population as of 2023. When Pakistan became independent in 1947, its economy initially grew faster than that of the other South Asian countries. However, a variety of challenges over the years have limited Pakistan's economic growth. These include political instability, heavy foreign debt, low exports, high imports, and difficulties in implementing economic policies. Pakistan's wars with India in 1965 and 1971 also took a toll on its economy, causing a recession. In the 1970s, Pakistan's economy experienced several major problems, including a civil war, the nationalization of industries, inflation, flooding, rising petroleum prices, and a worldwide recession. These problems, combined with government control over key economic decisions, stifled private investment and made it hard to attract investors. As a result, the economy suffered and became less stable. Despite some improvements in the 1980s and early 1990s, Pakistan's economy is still facing many of the same challenges today. In the 1980s, Pakistan's economy started to recover as the government and policymakers implemented deregulatory policies. However, in the 1990s, economic growth slowed. Several factors, including political instability, frequent changes in government, weak governance, poor macroeconomic management, and an unfavorable global environment, outweighed the positive effects of policies like deregulation, liberalization, and privatization. These policies were also implemented inconsistently and with interruptions. All these issues contributed to Pakistan's slow economic growth in the 1990s. In recent years, Pakistan's economic growth has picked up, with investment as a percentage of GDP increasing from 15.5% to 20%. This growth was largely driven by an increase in total factor productivity, TFP. Starting in 2022, Pakistan experienced an economic crisis due to political unrest and rising food, gas, and oil prices. The ongoing Russian-Ukraine war has contributed to higher fuel prices around the world, which has had a severe impact on Pakistan's economy. The country's debt has also continued to rise, raising the risk of default. By June 2022, inflation was rising rapidly, as were food prices and imports. In response to these challenges, the government of Pakistan has taken some measures, such as raising interest rates and seeking international support. However, these efforts have not been enough to address the severity of the crisis, and the country's economic outlook remains uncertain. As if it were not enough, from June 15th to October 2022, floods in Pakistan killed over 1,839 people, causing 3.2 trillion rupees, $14.8 billion of damage, and 3.3 trillion rupees, $15.2 billion of economic losses. On August 25, 2022, Pakistan declared a state of emergency. The flooding was the world's deadliest flood since the 2020 South Asian floods, and was described as the worst in the country's history and as one of the costliest natural disasters in world history. 1/3 of the country was affected, destroying crops, including crops for export. This resulted in increased import dependency. In January 2023, Pakistan saw new lows. The Pakistani rupee hit an all-time low, crossing the PKR 300 mark against the US dollar in August 2023. The country's foreign reserves with the State Bank of Pakistan, SPB, also dropped to an alarming level at $3.1 billion. Pakistan has been struggling financially and has been unable to get money from the IMF. To try to change this, the SBP increased interest rates by 300 basis points, the largest increase since 1996. The country also raised the prices of gas and electricity and introduced more taxes. These actions have been tough on the economy, but they were necessary to stabilize it. According to the CEIC database, Pakistan's Consumer Price Index, CPI, reached an all-time high of 38% year-on-year in May 2023, with October's CPI falling slightly to 26.9% year-on-year, compared to September's 31.4%. The inflation was so high that the price of milk rose to over 200 rupees, 70 cents per liter in Pakistan. The country's consumers felt the financial strain, leading to desperation and even deadly stampedes at food distribution centers. Pakistan's political crisis was as severe as its economic crisis, with a key figure embroiled in controversy. In May 2023, former Pakistan Prime Minister Imran Khan was arrested with allegations ranging from corruption and unlawful sales of gifts to leaking state secrets. These controversies led to Khan's disqualification from participating in Pakistan's upcoming general elections. With a highly divided political scene, the country faces many challenges as it moves forward. Following Imran Khan's dramatic arrest in Islamabad, massive protests and violence erupted across the country. His supporters clashed with police, and some even stormed army headquarters and the Corps commander's residence in Rawalpindi and Lahore. Despite the unrest, Khan's party, the PTI, announced that he would contest the 2024 general elections for at least 3 seats, showing a strong commitment to his political cause. The situation remained volatile and uncertain. In a dramatic turn of events, Pakistan's president dissolved the National Assembly at the end of August 2023 upon the advice of outgoing Prime Minister Shahbaz Sharif. This brought the government's term to an end and cleared the way for general elections in the country. A caretaker government was established in the interim, and several months later, the Election Commission announced that the general election would be held on February 8, 2024. The country's political future remains in flux with many uncertainties ahead. According to the law, general elections are supposed to be held within 90 days of the dissolution of Parliament. However, due to the extensive process of voter list preparation and delimitation, the ECP said it needed more time to ensure a smooth and fair election process. The date was therefore extended by several months. In a surprising twist, former Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif returned to Pakistan in October 2023 after 4 years in exile. The move was seen as a bid to lead his party into the upcoming general elections. Sharif is a seasoned politician who has served as Prime Minister for a record 3 terms. He is now set to contest the 2024 elections, hoping to gain support from his political base in Mansehra and Lahore. The move has caused a stir in the political landscape of Pakistan. However, Sharif's return is not without its challenges. He was disqualified from holding public office by the Supreme Court, and he still faces legal obstacles in running for office. In addition, his brother and PMLN President Shahbaz Sharif amended the Elections Act in a way that could further complicate matters. While these changes may have been intended to help his brother, they could also create additional hurdles. In light of these changes to the Elections Act, the Supreme Court decided to convene a larger bench to determine whether or not disqualified individuals may run for office. This important case is likely to be decided before the upcoming election on February 8th, with significant implications for all political parties and candidates. Pakistan has seen a concerning increase in terrorist and suicide bombing incidents in the first half of 2023. According to the Pakistan Institute for Conflict and Security Studies, PICSS, at least 271 militant attacks occurred during this period, resulting in 389 deaths and 656 injuries. This is a troubling trend for the country, and it highlights the ongoing threat posed by violent extremism. Pakistan has been rocked by several tragic suicide bombings, including a September attack that killed 57 people and a July attack that claimed over 40 lives. These attacks have been claimed by extremist groups, such as the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan, TTP. The TTP has been a major source of violence in the country since its ceasefire with the government broke down in 2022. With internal conflicts on the rise, external conflicts are not far behind. Since the partition of India, the Kashmir conflict has defined the India-Pakistan relationship. In August 2019, India revoked Article 370 of the Indian Constitution, removing special status from Jammu and Kashmir. Since then, the region has been under lockdown, with internet and phone services cut off and thousands detained. While India claimed the move would increase security and development, instead it has led to economic decline and greater violence. The situation remains highly volatile, with deep distrust and animosity between the governments of India and Pakistan. In February 2019, an attack on Indian paramilitary forces in Kashmir killed at least 40 soldiers. 2 weeks later, India claimed to have conducted airstrikes targeting a terrorist training camp inside Pakistan. Pakistan retaliated, and the two countries became involved in an aerial engagement that resulted in the shooting down of 2 Indian aircraft and the capture of an Indian pilot. The situation was extremely tense, but eventually the pilot was released and the countries pulled back from the brink of war. Violence along the LOC reached a peak in 2020 with more than 4,000 reported cross-border firings. At the same time, India observed an increase in militant recruitment, and tensions between the countries remained high. However, in February 2021, a ceasefire was agreed upon that has largely been observed since then. Despite this, the Indian government continues to exert its control over the region, including cracking down on independent media and changing elections. At the SCO Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit in May 2023, the foreign ministers of India and Pakistan exchanged harsh words over the situation in Kashmir. This was a missed opportunity to ease tensions between the two countries. Recent political turmoil in Pakistan, including the actions of the military against Imran Khan, has raised concerns that it could hinder efforts towards peace between India and Pakistan. Some Indian hardliners are likely to use this as justification for their stance on the conflict. The ongoing tensions between India, Pakistan, and China have led to increased militarization in the region. India in particular is concerned about the possibility of a two-front war with China and Pakistan both representing potential threats. This has resulted in increased military spending and the deployment of forces along the borders. Pakistan is on the brink of collapse. Turning a deaf ear will be our ruin, and the consequences will be massive.